I can finally talk about Stranger Things season 4. Uh, Took us a while to get through it because we were busy moving and everything else. We didn't get to watch it as they were coming out. We finally finished the last episode, the season finale, on Saturday afternoon. So I'm here on Monday, July, whatever this is, 11th. Best TV show from a storytelling perspective that I have seen probably since Battlestar Galactica. Like season one of Battlestar Galactica, like when they were just getting going, was really. I mean, I loved all of Battlestar Galactica. Like that entire show was amazing to me from a storytelling perspective. I felt like season four of Stranger Things was better than the first season and as good as anything I ever saw in Battlestar Galactica, which for me is like my favorite show of all time. Just so much going on here, from the combination of Dungeons and Dragons to 80s culture to just phenomenal storytelling, character arcs, so on and so forth. I'm going to be spoiling everything in this episode, so just fair warning if you, for some reason, haven't watched the show, or if you're someone like me who waited quite a bit to watch it, you might want to skip this. So, again, fair warning, spoilers, because I will be talking a whole bunch of stuff throughout here, and I'm going to be jumping around a bit because I don't have show notes right now. I'm just kind of going off the cuff based on what we just watched, um, and going from there. So, one of the things that I've always loved about the show, and it's obviously one of the nostalgia factors that drew me in, was the Dungeons and Dragons tie-in. Like in the early episodes, it was this bunch of '80s kids playing D&D, and they threw that in there as a sort of a token gesture to make it about the '80s and the fact that they were, familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, and there was this monsters in the other world, and there was always a slight tie-in. But I felt like season four, they went deep. They did a deep dive and they brought in Vecna. Now I know some of the hardcore Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons, like purebloods out there are up in arms about the portrayal of Vecna because the Vecna of the show is not the Vecna of Dungeons and Dragons. The Vecna of Dungeons and Dragons is an ancient entity who's been around a very long time and is a multidimensional being and etc. And here we get the creation of Vecna in this show. So it's their version of Vecna, how he's created and how he basically becomes an interdimensional traveling creature being of great power. Um, and of course, the Vecna in the show is a little bit. He has different objectives than the Vecna of actual D&D. And I understand that some people from D&D are upset about this portrayal. I'm sure it's very similar to me having problems with the way that Amazon is doing things with certain characters for the Rings of Power, and you've seen me making Rings of Power videos criticizing Amazon. Fair point. You can absolutely poke that stick at me. My response is going to be, well, if it's done in a way that is respectful of the lore and everything else, then I would give it a pass. But more importantly, this is not a Dungeons and Dragons show. If this was a Dungeons and Dragons show, I would have a more hardcore stance on them doing something like this with the lore of Vecna. But this is not a Dungeons and Dragons show. This is a show about kids during the 80s who are dealing with interdimensional creatures and another world, the Upside Down, that just happens to have Dungeons and Dragons in it. And so they took a character from Dungeons and Dragons and said, "What's a big baddie from that we could put into our world and sort of have another visual tie-in?" So from that perspective, I'm totally happy for them to have done that because again, we're not talking about a Dungeons and Dragons remake or a Dungeons and Dragons adaptation show where they would need to be a little more true to the lore of the character. Here it's something different, and I was more than happy to see them do this. I loved everything they did with the Vecna character. Um, and the actor who portrayed him, I'm gonna go look at him. I'm looking him up right now because I can't remember his name. I've seen him in. I remember him from the Camelot show, which was with one of the Fiennes brothers. Dun, 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 dun. Who is the actor? Jamie Campbell Bower. Um, Early 30s. I think this is the best acting he's ever done. I've seen him in quite a few things. Again, the one I most recently remember him from was Camelot. which again was not that recent. That was maybe 6 or 8 years ago. He's done a lot of cool stuff, and but this time around he just crushed it. Now I didn't actually know how this is going to play out because I originally saw like his character getting into the makeup of Vecna on a special effects piece, and I was like, "That's cool." They're showing some of the behind the scenes stuff of the creature effects. Then when I started watching the show, and I realized that number one was the same person, I went, "Oh snap! Is that the same actor playing the monster, or is that character going to become the monster?" And then when the character became the monster, I went, "Oh, this is storytelling 101. Like this is a masterclass in a character arc now." And then the way they've tied it all together now, bringing it all the way back to season one, where the character of one is the creature behind all of these evils, and how Eleven is the one who set him free and created him, and that's why she has the connection to the Upside Down, but also the creepiness of Papa, like um, Matthew Modine's character. Every time think of Matthew Modine, I always go back to Cutthroat Island. He was a lot younger in Cutthroat Island with Gina Davis. Great, great pirate film if you haven't seen that film. But seeing Matthew Modine here becoming this like we always knew he was kind of a creepy, scientist dude, but he really shows his true colors in this season of how he manipulated the children and was really just experimenting with them to create some superpower super soldier, and then the things that he does. And I love the way that they did the death of his character, because when Eleven finally realizes all of the things that he's done, and he's asking for her forgiveness at the end, and he's like, all I ever wanted to do was protect you and everything else, and he's like, tell me you understand, and she literally just holds his hand and says, goodbye Papa. Like, she doesn't acknowledge, she's not going to give him that pleasure of saying, what's up, Chris? No? Okay. She's not going to give him the pleasure of saying, I understand you. She's just saying, that was your decision. You're going to die with that in your mind because I'm not accepting it. So I thought it was really, really cool the way they did that, um, showing that he really was an evil bastard, and he was the reason that Eleven did what she did, and he was the reason to some degree that one became who he became, which was converting into Vecna. But to be fair, one was already a messed up individual from the beginning with what he did to his family members and everything else, and how he was already twisted in the mind and wanted to become this, this predator, and had this obsession with Black Widow spiders and everything else. Like, there was already a psychopathic mind at work there, and the experiments that they did on one just heightened that, and then it really turned him against humanity at that point. And then, leading up to this point, we've always had these scenes of Eleven thinking that she killed all these kids, and that she was the one responsible for what happened in the lab. And the way they did the reveal on this was that it was, she released one, took the capsule out that was blocking his powers, and then he went on a rampage and just killed everybody. And then she defended him. She defended the kids, and then fought against him and sent him into the other dimension. Very well done. Just very well done on all points. So that's the Vecna storyline. I was highly, highly, highly found that highly enjoyable. I thought Eleven's character arc has always been good, but this season in particular, we've come around full circle with her, and she's now finally realizing her full potential. And to get ahead of myself here, the finale where they leave it, knowing that Vecna's not he's not dead. Like, you may have defeated him, but he's not dead yet. And then we see the storm coming in the real world, and the rifts, and all the plants are dying, and the snow is falling, and the party members looking out over the landscape as the storm is coming towards them. We know the final season is coming. We know that it's going to be the ultimate showdown, and it's very much we're at the point now where Eleven is kind of at the peak of her powers now. Like, she's gotten her powers back. She's they've had a win. That doesn't mean they've won the war, but they've won a battle here. So very good arc with 11 and 1, and who the monster behind everything really is. Great conclusion for a season 1 to season 4 arc, and now setting up everything for the final showdown in season 5. which is why I say that from a storytelling perspective, this is some of the tightest storytelling I've seen to bring everything around. I mean, all the seasons of Stranger Things have been good. I've enjoyed all of them, but this season in particular, the way they've brought everything together from seasons 1, 2, and 3 into this, mm, just masterclass, chef's kiss. Um, from a storytelling perspective, this is what peak writing looks like. Just really, really good stuff. Um, Eddie's character. We have to talk Eddie's character. This is probably one of the and yeah, he was I knew from the beginning he was a throwaway character. I knew immediately the minute he walked on stage. I was like, this is not going to be a character who survives the season. And of course, he does fall at the end, but he falls in a hero's death, of course. Um, but the way he played his character, this actor, who played him? I don't even know the actor's name. We're gonna look him up real quick. Joseph Quinn, um, young actor, um, 29 years old. Brilliant performance, but also just I know everyone has been talking about it. That Metallica scene, um, just that is probably one of the coolest scenes I have ever seen in a TV show ever. Probably one of the coolest cinematic sequences I've seen, hands down, over the years. Like it's up there in the top 10 for sure. I have to make a list of the top 10 to actually tell you, but there's some in like the most recent lightsaber sequence between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader from the Obi-Wan show is up there. The Ewan McGregor versus why am I blanking in the actor's name? But Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul in episode 1, that's up there. Um, the ET riding across the sky with that's up there. Like the Indiana Jones temple scene where he puts the stat. Like there's some scenes that are up there with like some of the coolest cinematic things for me of all time. This is in the top 10. Um, that Metallica scene is just epic, where they're up on the roof of the trailer and the upside down, and he's just playing Master of Puppets to draw the attention, and he's just rocking out. And the way that they've got that actual song playing throughout all of these sequences that are unfolding, again, chef's kiss, like masterclass in storytelling. Like this is visually and from a writing perspective are both compelling storytelling examples. And the fact that they were able to get Metallica to sign off on that was just really, 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 really cool. Not gonna lie, like it was cool of those guys to understand what they wanted to do here and to have this all come together. And of course that does lead to Eddie eventually, sacrificing himself, but what an ending. What a way to go out. Like going from the reject who can't graduate high school because he keeps screwing things up, and to becoming like, and he's the leader of the D&D club, and he loves D&D, to be able to go up against Vecna, the most badass, villain in D&D, and to be one of the heroes who helps save the town from his attack. Like that is a way to go out. Like talk about a character arc for a single season. Very, very, very good job with the Eddie character. Um, all the other main characters, we've obviously got story arcs that have been continuing since season 1. They haven't killed off anybody major yet. I have a, f- I don't want to make any estimations. I would say they might kill off a character or two in the final season. Um, Maybe, I don't know. Some people are suspecting Steve, but who knows? But I think all of the kids did a very, very good job. We're obviously seeing their story arcs play out now over multiple seasons. The Hopper and Janice relationship, very well done. Of course, Hopper's character becoming like a fan favorite, where he went from being, you know, David Harper's character went from being the just kind of side character to like one of the main characters. He crushed it this season. He crushes it every season, but this season particularly, like he lost 80 pounds to play the sequence in the Russian jail, and Chris and I were just like, he's being experimented on, and all the things with the mind flayers and everything, and just they're not mind flayers. What are they called? I forget. It doesn't really matter. Um, just really nasty, some creepy special effects here, and the experimentation happening. But I loved seeing him like make the escape attempt, and then it doesn't work out, and he's just completely crushed. And then, having uh, Janice's character fly all the way across, but it was and I'm gonna look him up. Stranger Things, because it was, and I saw they did an interview with him. I gotta look him up really quick. This guy, Brett Gelman, playing Murray Bauman in Stranger Things. This like nerdy, uh, speaks Russian, but he's like a nerdy conspiracy theory dude. And then the part when he's on the plane and she's psyching him up, and he's talking about, he took karate. He's like, and he's talking about how his only opponents have ever been kids, but then he goes on to kick the guy's ass, and then he gets into they're in the Russian jail, and they're trying to break out Hopper, and he's like, his karate's coming into play. Like, it gave him a chance. Like, his character, again, awesome character arc this season of his character being able to go from being a nerdy conspiracy theory sidekick to being somebody who actually contributes to the story in a major way, and they gave him his own moments to shine as well. Very good. I, for one, am a huge fan of the longer run times here. I know some people are like, oh, they're too long. I can't believe the last episode was 2.5 hours. And I like how the Duffer Brothers came out and said, if you don't like it, pause it. It's that simple. It's on demand TV. Pause it. Figure out what's a good break for you, pause it, go away, come back tomorrow, and finish the rest of it. You don't have to watch it all in one go if you don't want to. I did. Chris and I made sure to block out. I love the fact that we were getting hour and 15-minute episodes for each one, and then a finale that was 2.5. With I think the next to last episode was an hour and a half. Huge, huge fan. I find these much more enjoyable and than as good as some of these are, like some of the Boba Fett and Mandalorian episodes coming in at like 20 minutes, 23 minutes. It's like, I really, like, you're gonna slap me in the face and make me wait another week after you just dropped like a quick little 20-minute. I mean, Adult Swim TV shows are 15, 20 minutes. Like, come on. You're a whatever, 9 million, 12 million dollar an episode budget, and you're dropping a 23-minute episode on me. So I really appreciate that with Stranger Things, I'm getting hour plus chunks that I get to sink my teeth into, because season 4 felt meaty. Like, there was meat on its bones. So I have no problems with that. I also know some people have complained that they've given too many characters full story arcs. So there's people have said there's some boring moments in season 4. I wasn't bored a single moment. I was entertained throughout. Chris was on the edge of the bed with me, like it was entertaining throughout the entirety of the season. Zero complaints. 10 out of 10 from me, for everything about this show. We're going to be continuing to watch, obviously, season 5. I got more episodes coming down the pipeline if you want to see more. So, like, follow, subscribe. I'll see everybody in the next one. Don't forget to drop your comments down below. Let's discuss.